Casemiro to leave Manchester United on loan for just this season. Where have the reports come from? What is happening? Can it happen? Of course, we'll go through all the details on where they originated from in terms of reports and where the club stance is on Casemiro right now. Also, an update on new players and where the so-called sort of bad form is at and when that trigger might be pulled if nothing actually gets better on the pitch in terms of Ten Hag. Bit of an update from Fabrizio Romano on that side of things as well. And of course, all of your comments, live interactions on all of the topics we're talking about today. Get your questions in, get your comments in the live show right now. If you're catching up later, make sure you get your comments in below on the comment section as well. Please give the video a like. Let's get up to as close to 1,000 likes as we can again on this video. And of course, the most important bit, to make sure that you miss none of the Manchester United news coming up your way. Free content coming your way and your chance to have your say on Manchester United. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and make sure that you are also hitting that notification button as well to make sure that you are updated when the news breaks and when your free content hits your screen. Let's get cracking with the early morning show. Good morning, everyone. Hope you're doing fantastically well. Obviously, no football to worry about. No bad rumours to worry about. The storm that was Liverpool smashing United at Old Trafford is starting to calm a little bit now, it seems. And we can start getting into where we go from here. Obviously, we talked last night about possible injured players that are coming back, which can help United. The good thing is, and we said this at the start of the season, like we have got players that have got spells on the sidelines, but we have got big international breaks in between. So maybe for the first time, an international break happening at this time of season might help Manchester United. Look, I still hate them. I hate that they get in the way of all the football and everything like that. But when you've got injured players and key injured players to come back, maybe a couple of weeks away where they can just get fully recovered and help the process along in terms of getting back into that first team training, it's not a bad thing. Well, we want to talk about Casemiro first of all today. That's the hot topic going around. It broke last night, actually. More around after I finished my evening show and I thought, we'll talk about this morning. Let's see if anyone else reports on it. See if Romano comes out and has his say on things and then get any more reports. But we've had a couple of journalists, and Graham Bailey being the more prominent one, who has come out and said that this is definitely a possibility that Casemiro can leave Manchester United and go on loan. Obviously, we've had the Turkish side of things as well in El Naki. I think it's Kukok. I think that's how you say his name. I do apologise. I've only just seen his surname now. But that report there coming out first of all that United are in discussions with Galatasaray over a loan move for Casemiro. The only way this would happen for me, honestly, like it can happen by the way. The Turkish transfer window has not closed yet, which is why the rumours are coming about. It was the same with Christian Eriksen. It was the same with Adrian Rabiot. Rabiot's a free agent. Christian Eriksen was being hunted down by Ajax, whose transfer window didn't close until Monday evening. And the Turkish transfer window is still open as well, which has brought about the rumours. Obviously, we've just seen Osimhen go on loan to Galatasaray from Napoli. They are making some big loan moves, Galatasaray. How they're affording wages and the deals that they're getting done, you have to applaud, to be honest. They've just waited it out and they've just bided their time in terms of getting these players in and who they could actually get through the door. But Casemiro, I don't see leaving United. We have to talk, obviously, about the possibility of him actually going because it can be done, like we just said. And only to Turkey right now. Obviously, Saudi Pro League is still an option, but they're not loaning anybody. They don't do loans in Saudi, and I think they're all spent up right now. We said the other day that Bergwijn leaving Ajax would be the only chance that Eriksen has got of moving to Ajax the other day. And he has gone to the Saudi Pro League. I've seen Ronald Koeman having his say on that, a 26-year-old going to the Saudi Pro League. It's pretty pathetic, to be honest, in terms of where you're at with your career. If you're chasing money at the age of 26, it means your career's going down the pan. And I didn't make the move for Christian Eriksen off the back of that. So Eriksen stays. But Casemiro, where do we go from here? Could anyone else come in and try and take Eriksen on loan? Well, if the rules apply for Casemiro, the rules apply for Christian Eriksen. Might he think it might be worth me going out at the last minute to another club? Obviously, you can't loan Christian Eriksen right now simply because he's in the last year of his deal anyway, and that's the rule. But still, Casemiro on loan is a possibility. As we know, he's only into his third year of his 5-year deal. And United, would they be open to that move? No. I'm just going to call it now, straight out. Like, it can happen, yes. I'm not saying it won't happen. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but you only have to look at the common sense factor in all of this and just say that Casemiro to Galatasaray at the stage we're at right now with Ugarte coming in and Collier as the only other two. Like, we're not going to say that Collier isn't ready. He needs games. He needs to fill out. He needs a bit of experience. Obviously, he got thrown to the Wolves against Liverpool, and it was quite clear that it wasn't the right game. So we'll give Collier time in starting a game and being bed into a game instead of being thrown into that pressure cooker situation, which was United 2-0 down and your most experienced and decorated player being hauled off at half-time. Like, not ideal. So maybe Collier will get more time in other games and maybe start some games, some lesser so-called games, and ease his way in. But we've lost Amrabat last season. Agate's come in and replaced him. So we're pretty much where we were, but with a better player in Agate. And if he comes in and smashing it, that's great. But you need depth. Is Collier alone enough? I don't want to be playing Bruno. I don't want to be playing Kobe Mainu at number 6. I don't think that's the role for him. He's a number 10. And you look through the ranks there and you go, who else is there? You could maybe play Christian Eriksen there. He's not a tackler. He isn't very quick, but he's composed on the ball in tight situations. Maybe you could use him there. Again, no, I wouldn't, but it's just an option, last-ditch option, I would say at that. Casemiro needs to stay at Manchester United. We need the options. Of course, it is a possibility that he can go. Of course, there is a possibility, like the reports what Graham Bailey is saying, he can go. I mean, he's saying, look, Galatasaray are interested in taking Casemiro on loan for 1 year. Obviously, this season, basically. That would then, they would have to cover his wages for this to happen, which I don't think Galatasaray are going to be able to do. United would only ever loan players out, like we know with Jadon Sancho, if the majority, at least, of the wages are covered and there was an obligation to buy. Galatasaray are not going to buy Casemiro. I'm pretty certain they won't. And they won't be able to afford his wages. Obviously, his wages this season are only 260 grand. I say only 260 because that's coming down from 350 because he's had to take a massive pay cut as he's contractually obliged to with not making the Champions League. So 260 grand seems a lot more doable than 350, but when it comes to the Turkish League and then wages, not a chance, which is why I think Osimhen's wages are pretty much going to be covered by Napoli just to get him out of the way right now. So they got stuck with Osimhen, and that situation has just blown up into all sorts of nonsense, to be honest. But Casemiro, I think, is a completely different kettle of fish altogether. United don't want him to go. He's not a problem at the football club. I guarantee we'll get reports coming out today saying that Casemiro, there's no chance that Manchester United are looking to move Casemiro on. I was surprised we didn't get a Fabrizio Romano report on this last night saying that United are saying definitely no to Casemiro leaving. There's not even a thought process in it. He's not come out and said it, but I think we will get a bit of an update on this today as to this never happening because we haven't got the numbers. And Ugarte is probably number 1 right now because he's a player that we've just brought in. Will he be number 1? I mean, the questions there, like we discussed last night regarding Ten Hag, is he going to play him? It wasn't a player that he necessarily really wanted at the football club. And he is probably going to persist with Casemiro and just try and get Ugarte up to speed. Look, we need Manuel Ugarte bedded in as soon as possible because with Casemiro playing, we are leaking chances. We are open in midfield. And how many games can we afford to lose before we actually start to bed in Ugarte? Like how far down the road can we go with not playing Manuel Ugarte? Like, we need him in and we need to get a settled team in as soon as possible because it doesn't look settled at the moment, and that's the problem that we've got. It's the unsettledness which is causing Manchester United endless problems. But yeah, as far as the reports are at the moment, this is still a possibility. But still, I cannot see United even thinking about it. You only have to look at what's in front of us right now, what the squad is like depth-wise, what we've got option-wise for that role, and there's not much there. Ugarte is not going to play every single game. We know this. So, with him just coming into the club as well, I would say a definite, resounding no. We have got a poll running as well, which I want you guys to get involved in. Allow Casemiro to leave on loan now. 59% of you have said yes. Are you actually thinking about numbers and what we've actually got squad depth-wise? Like, Casemiro has had a bad time. He is going to be okay to come in and play a certain role for us, especially if you look at it this way. Like, if you're in the depths of the Europa League and you need to mix it up and rest Manuel Ugarte, for instance, if he's played a few games, Casemiro's there. We've already qualified. It's in the bag. We've got a couple of games to spare. Casemiro was needed. We can't be playing Ugarte all the time. Yes, you could say that might be the perfect chance to play Toby Collier. He wants 2 players for every single position, Ten Hag. And on that side of things, when you look at it on paper, Manchester United are covered if we sell Casemiro, because we'll have Ugarte and we'll have Collier. The problem is the quality. And you're not really wanting to throw. You can see why he didn't put Ari Mass in straight away. Collier was a desperation call against Liverpool. And it's one that I don't think Ten Hag wanted to make. He was forced into it. Just sheer volume of everybody shouting out that Casemiro had to come off the pitch. Like, the fans were all shouting it in the stands. Like, it was embarrassing. It really was. It was embarrassing to see a player like that succumb to all of that criticism from the pundits and everything like that afterwards. But just to actually see a player that decorated have to be hauled off at half-time in such a big game and then ask a young lad to come on and replace him, not good for Manchester United at all. Not a good look. And it just shouts out sheer desperation. I don't think United would knee-jerk reaction off the back of a couple of bad games with Casemiro. People will then come back at me and say, well, Casemiro's been bad all last season. Casemiro has hit out about the tactics of Ten Hag, don't forget, as well. And you know what? I'm not saying that there isn't anything going on behind the scenes. I don't see Casemiro personally, and just my own personal opinion, I don't see Casemiro kicking up a big enough stink to want to make Manchester United to want to move him on, is what I'm saying. I don't think that's in Casemiro's nature. I don't think that's in Casemiro's... I don't think it's in his makeup. I really don't. I think he's not that type of player. But you don't know what goes on behind the scenes. I'm guessing, like every other Manchester United fan, but you only have to look at the way he's conducted himself through his career and go, yeah, like, at Madrid, nothing. No drama, nothing. Obviously, it's easy when you're winning everything and everything's going great on the pitch. Nothing, but he just looks like the standout professional to me within the ranks. And yeah, his form isn't great and he is getting older. We can't argue with that. But behind the scenes, he's loved and everybody at the club is a big fan of Casemiro. So I can't see him kicking up a stink. Will Ten Hag look at what them comments leaked out by The Athletic and Andy Mitten? Will he look at that as saying that's another player undermining me? I don't know again. I personally don't think that with it coming from The Athletic and Andy Mitten, that it's anything really to write home about in terms of the, let's say, unrest department within Manchester United's ranks right now. I think Manchester United are just in a position where everything looks bad because of everything that's going wrong on the pitch. And we are just clutching for anything right now, positive-wise. Getting rid of Casemiro is not a positive. Casemiro, we cannot afford to lose Casemiro, in my opinion. But 60% of you in the vote are saying, yes, get rid of Casemiro on loan. I'm going to come to the chat right now. Let's elaborate on that poll and see what you guys are actually saying. Let's see what we've got chat-wise in here right now with everybody. I really hope Ugarte hits the ground running or we are in the shite. Collier will be a great player, but he's not ready yet. Casemiro stays for depth, but he has to step up big time. They should not loan him because we don't have enough depth. No, definitely not. You got Rawls, not worried about his skills, worried about the system catching him out and fans jumping all over him. I'd say he shouldn't leave, but only way I see it happening is if his wife pissed off Ten Hag. Yeah, there is that point to it as well. How do you look at what Casemiro's wife actually did? It's a wife who's actually backing up her player, her man, because he's come under a load of scrutiny. He's had a really poor game, and everybody deserves to be criticised. He knows this. Bruno Fernandes said it, didn't he, as well? Bruno Fernandes said, look, he's been at Real Madrid, he's been at Manchester United for 2 years already, the two biggest clubs in the world. He's used to this sort of scrutiny. He will deal with it. It won't affect him. Well, it clearly affected his wife because she's posting pictures. And obviously Ten Hag is big on the trophy count, isn't he? We know that. And Casemiro's wife is posting all of them trophies that he's won. But I don't feel like... So you've got his wife doing what she did with the post, and you've got Andy Mitten and The Athletic coming out talking openly in these podcasts, Talk of the Devils, about Casemiro not being happy with Ten Hag tactics last season. I don't think that's enough to say that there's unrest behind the scenes, and Ten Hag's going to see his ass with that. He was the man that brought Casemiro in, let's not forget. So it's one of his players. I can't see it. He is a full-on professional that has just started to wean at the end of his career, sadly, and United have bought a replacement in. Casemiro has got more than enough to cover Manuel Ugarte. Whether or not he looks at this and goes, I don't want to be second fiddle. That's the only thing I would say with Casemiro that might come into this, where he maybe me getting out of here and playing first team football elsewhere is what I need. Do I want to be sat on the bench week in, week out at Manchester United playing second fiddle to another player coming in? I've only been here 2 years and already I'm now on the bench after a poor season last season. Is it too much for me being at Manchester United? That's the only thing I would say. I think pride will take over, but professionalism as well is a big thing for Casemiro. So will he look at the move and the possibility of playing regular football in a league where the pressure isn't as much? Obviously, you've got the fan pressure of Galatasaray and everything that brings, and we know what that's like. But in terms of standards, there is no disrespect here to the Turkish league, but the scrutiny on player performance, the expectation, the standard of football is a completely different level to what it is at Manchester United. You've got to ask the question, does Casemiro want to end his career this way? And that would be, if he sees out his time at Manchester United, the end of his career will be him sat on the bench, not starting games for Manchester United in probably one of the club's worst spells. Does he want that? That's the only question you would ask in Casemiro's side of things if he's looking to manufacture a move away from Manchester United. I personally think he wants to prove everybody wrong, but it's going to be taken out of his hands because United will end up starting Manuel Ugarte ahead of him. I don't really want to see, there has been a case and the shout, and I think I have actually said it as well, for Casemiro to actually move into number 8. Watching that game, I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, he's not going to get knocked off the ball. Obviously, he's combative, but maybe him losing the ball further up the field is less danger for Manchester United than it is him losing it at 6 because you're right onto the back line. I know what you're saying. It's a bit far-fetched in what I'm saying, but I just have to look at everything that's going on. As far as United are concerned, I don't think they want to lose Casemiro. But where is Casemiro's head at? Has he had enough? His wife will be talking to him and saying, "You're going to sit on the bench now. This is it. What do we want to do? Are we happy being here, just sat on the bench?" These are the only conversations and questions I think would be going on right now that might actually deter Casemiro away from being a Manchester United player. I don't think the club are going to push to get rid of him, but like the club has said, like Dan Ashworth and Omar Barada have been open, when players actually want to move, then we obviously have to look at the situation. If it works for them, if it works for the club, then we can make it happen. But we're not in a position where we're actively moving players on or trying to force players out of the door. And that's what Dan Ashworth has said. So the club won't want him to go because they need the depth. It's down to Casemiro. Does he want to leave Manchester United? That's the question that everybody needs to be asking, really. Because you look at the situation with what his wife has done, the comments and the reports about him not being happy with Ten Hag's tactics last season, and now does he actually want to sit on the bench for the rest of this season and play bit part to Ugarte? Because that's the situation that's in front of Casemiro right now. And I just think it's a shame that a player so decorated and so good and has won absolutely everything that there is to win in football should sort of just wean off at the end of his career with. I don't like the look of it. I know a lot of people won't like the look of it either, but it is the reality of where United are at, and there's not one player bigger than the football club. So Casemiro needs to make his mind up about what he wants to do, and United need to move on quickly. I personally don't think there's anyone else we can bring in but that obvious nightmare which everyone's talking about, which is Adrien Rabiot. Look, I'd have said if he was part of our plans and they wanted to bring him in on a free in the transfer window, bring Rabiot in. But right now, it just looks a little bit desperate. Let's be honest. You could probably get Rabiot in for less wages than what Casemiro's on, but Casemiro's wages aren't fully going to be covered if he goes on loan to Galatasaray. And Casemiro will come back off that loan at the end of the season. Then you stuck with Casemiro and Adrien Rabiot, who are not going to be able to move on and will both be on mega wages. So if you're going to lose Casemiro, you're going to lose him and not have a replacement coming in. You're going to have to rely on Collier and maybe a bit of switching around in that defensive midfield department. Is 2 players enough? No, it's not. United won't push Casemiro out of the door. It's down to Casemiro if he really wants to move. I personally don't see it. Guys, get your comments in. Let's do that before we move on to the next section. The best thing about buying Ugarte is the fact Erik Ten Hag didn't want him, in my opinion. It's proof that the football structure actually is working. Man United Spotlight. Let's see what else we've got in here. Erik ten Hag needs to change his 3-16 plan, and then Casemiro would be good coming off the bench, says Bill. Jordis says, imagine we will press like Park, so I'm buzzing to see him. He can't be worse than Casemiro, Fred, Matic or Fellaini. Best in Yonks. I take it that's talking about Agate on that one there. Whenever I see anyone using term pissed off, I think of Trump. He went to Moscow in hope of building a golden tower, but he got worse. FSB filmed golden shower. God. Yeah, some comments sometimes I wish I didn't read out, but so I get where you're coming from. The players are not a problem. Ten Hag is the biggest problem at United. Collier is not ready. Play Akune. Yeah, he is there as well. So Rochelle's got a good point. Kune is there as well. He is going to be seen to be playing in that youth team, but then brought through. So we've got two there right on the fringes. This is why I don't see United going for Rabiot, because we've got players there. We've got players there, and they could be coming through. So don't fully commit to a player that is going to be old. And not so much old, but Rabiot going into his 30s, Casemiro going into his 30s. Both of them players are coming to the end of their careers. We've got players just coming through but are just not quite ready. And that's it. It's like, stick with what you've got. Casemiro will stay. 100% he will stay. I'm convinced of that. Unless he really kicks up a stink, which I don't think he's got in him, like I just said. And then in a year, maybe Kune would have come through and been brilliant in the under-21s and made some appearances in the first team. You just don't know. And Collier would have got better through the year. Then next season, we could be looking at a situation where we might not even have to buy another central midfielder. You've got Agate there, you've got Kone there, you've got Collier there as well. We could see Manchester United not having to spend a lot of money next summer. Over 1,100 in the room with us. Thank you, guys. Early morning show is live and kicking. Please give the video a like. We've only got just over 200 likes in at the moment, so please do give the video a like and let's get them moving upwards. Thank you, everybody. Keep your comments coming in. Sim says, Ten Hag has already said that Agate won't be playing for weeks because he didn't want him. It's what he does, so better to keep Casemiro. We need to keep Casemiro. Quality, question mark. Casemiro is nothing near quality right now. I know. But he is good to come off the bench in certain games. Gaz says, we need him for squad depth. Hopefully, he will come good again. Saf says, we need the number. We need the numbers. We keep Casemiro. When Casemiro comes on, we need to change tactics to suit his level. Have we got a plan B? And have we got adaptability within Ten Hag? That's the question on top of that. January says, been wondering where you at. I found you. Just subscribed. Thank you. Love that. Great comment. Welcome everybody who has just subscribed as well. This is Forever United TV. I'm Adam. We're just going over the Casemiro story. We do live 3 times a day, 8 o'clock, 12 and 6:30 in the evening as well, with all Manchester United updated news going on around the club. Make sure you have subscribed and hit the bell notification, everyone, to make sure you miss none of the free content. Jordis says, I do think Casemiro is left alone in midfield a lot, but his legs are gone and he tackles in slow motion now. I don't want to agree with that, but I find myself agreeing with that. You make a good point. It does seem to be a yard behind the pace. I definitely watching the Liverpool game. You can't deny that. I want him out because of his wages and his skill loss, but the depth is an issue, says You Got Raws. Fair point. Everyone understands the move away, but understands the situation we're in with players as well. Can Casemiro do a job off the bench? Yes. Does Casemiro want to do a job off the bench? That's the question. Liverpool tactics were not too different than ours in that game, yet they clearly have the right players for it. Better players, yes. The United Couple podcast is flying now, episode 19. The link is in the chats, everybody. Make sure you get onto that right now. I'll just put that up for everybody into the pinned one. Mod Stu has just put it up there as well. So, yeah, go give that a watch as well after the show. Almost 1,000 votes in the poll. Allow Casemiro to leave right now on loan. 60% of you have saying yes, 40% no. I'm a bit surprised, to be honest, at that one. I am. Well, it just goes to show where everyone's heads are at right now with United. Another one, a bit of an update regarding, and Romano has come out with this one. Obviously, the conversation has been flying around about Ten Hag. When will United make that move? Do they go for someone else, an interim manager? Do they sack Ten Hag? When will the decision come? How long will he get in the season if results don't stay the same? The position internally at the club is that before judging anything in terms of results and performances, it's really important to see all the new signings ready to play. That's from Fabrizio Romano. Breaking that down, what that actually means is Ineos would like to see all of the signings that have been brought in working within this team and then make a judgment. Of the work that they have done in bringing in certain players, and there's two big ones to come in yet, obviously, in Ugarte and in Lenny Yoro. So really we have to see them in the side, is what Ineos are saying, before we start judging on moving anybody or making any big decisions regarding Ten Hag. So that really is where we're at as a club in terms of any sort of like changes managerially or anything like that, or a timescale of when they might start to think this is the right time, if you know what I mean by that. It's like, let's see everything in, let's see these new players in, let's see if this form gets better. Obviously, we talked yesterday about Lenny Yoro being miles ahead of schedule in his recovery, which is great. The international break's definitely helping the likes of Yoro, Højlund and Luke Shaw now being able to get recovery time in, 2-week break off from the Premier League, not having to find places for players in the team. I think this is good for Manchester United now, the international break. I said at the top of the show, for once it seems like it's going to benefit us because we could get some players back. We've seen the images of Rasmus Højlund. I did say last night he's in the gym, he's not on the grass yet, but then United released pictures of him being on the grass. Not in first team training, obviously, which is key, but it does look like maybe by the time that the teams come back from international duty, because if Rasmus Højlund continues in this recovery in the way he is, we may see Casemiro we may see Rasmus Højlund very, very soon. So, yeah, really interesting to see if that does move on. And by the time that we come back a week on Saturday, whether Rasmus will actually be any closer. I'm pretty confident he won't play against Southampton. But we've also got the Barnsley game coming up as well. Maybe a position on the bench there just to ease him in. You could well see that, which will be interesting. And a massive boost for Ten Hag to actually have a focal point again up front and have another option. What it does do, though, it gives him a massive headache, doesn't it? Because he's got to now fit. And it's all right, Ineos saying, and the report from Romano saying that we're going to wait for all the players to come in, all the new signings, but will Ten Hag play them? We had the conundrum when we talked about last night with Luke Shaw. If Luke Shaw comes back available, does he come straight back into the side? Who does he drop? Does he drop Dalot? Does he drop Mazraoui? Because if Shaw does come straight back in, and this is what the fear is, I'm not saying that Shaw isn't good enough, obviously, but it's like Ten Hag seems to drop players like stones as soon as another player is available to come in. I think Luke Shaw, if he comes straight back in, I think Ten Hag will be tempted, because all he's talked about is not having Luke Shaw available, not having Luke Shaw fit, and he rushed him back against Brighton, didn't he? So he has got form for it. He has got form for actually rushing players back in, Ten Hag. We will see, won't we? We will see. But it does have a little bit of an impact. Like, yes, great to see all of these players back. Great to see all of these new players in. But will Ten Hag actually play them? That's the question. We've already brought up Ugarte and whether he'll actually put him into the side. We've already talked about Lenny Yoro. Does he fit in? Because right now you're looking at De Ligt and Martinez playing at centre-back. Then does Yoro come straight in? This is the thing. Like, does he have to wait his turn? So will Ineos actually get the chance? And maybe they will learn something about Ten Hag in all of this. They're not going to tell him who he has to play and who he can pick. That's down to the manager. So are they going to be waiting even longer before they see the players that they want to see coming to Manchester United? That's the question you have to ask. And that's the question that I think Ineos will be waiting to see and be answered. Because it's all on Ten Hag now. Everything is in his hands and everything is revolving around him. Everyone looks like they're coming back. And now we're actually going to see what he's all about. With players available, is the football going to change? Is he right in what he said, that it is just down to personnel being missing? let's see what happens. But that pretty much is your roundup, everybody. Early morning, we are done. Please give the video a like. Let's see if we can get that live likes up to 300 just before we finish now. We've had 1,300 in the room with us. Thank you so much for jumping in to the early morning show, everyone. I know you all love the 8 o'clock show, bringing you the updates, setting you up for your day before you head out on your journeys, whether it's the school run, whether it's to work or whatever. We got you covered. You don't need to scroll through all social media. That is everything covered for you all before you start your day. Thank you again to the mods, contributors and members, everyone in the chat. Please do drop into the description for all of our links to our sponsors and prizes that are available for you guys. Football prizes is there with another great prize right now. Obviously, we've got the United Couple podcast as well, which is going out. That episode 19 is out now. Go and check that out, everyone. And we will see you all back at midday lunchtime today. 12 o'clock is your next content. It is free. Make sure you've subscribed. Make sure that you've hit the like button on the way out. We just hit 300. Thank you, everybody. Have a great morning. I will see you all later on.